Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with me, Nikki, where you get to sew cool things for yourself and other people. I walk you through real-time tutorials. I teach you step by step how to create something. So when you see the time on the video, don't think that's how long it's going to take you to really do it every time you do it. That's just me talking you through it. But after you did, a few, you'll be a pro. Okay, not a pro, but you get my point. All right. Anyway, today we are going to do something a little bit different. I am answering your questions. I'm getting requests, and what I'm doing is I'm basing these videos off of those requests. So with that being said, we're not going to sew today. Today, you're going to learn how to read a pattern. Boom. So, I don't really use patterns for bags or anything like that. I like to just cut my rectangles, cut my squares for whatever I'm sewing, because it's really easy to alter the size of what you want for those things. When it comes to making clothes, you cannot alter those things too much because we have body types and things have to fit together. Okay, so I'm going to teach you today how to read patterns. Let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna try to go step by step, but I'm pretty sure too I'm gonna leave some stuff out. So when you have a question about patterns, just put it down below or message me and I'll be sure to, to answer them. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, let's take a look. If you're trying to figure out how to sew, I would recommend to start with what I call easy to sew patterns. So either easy to sew patterns, or they have some that has like maybe 1 hour. This is a 2 hour, okay? But that way it doesn't involve crazy things that you just can't do right now, like darts and things like that, okay? So that's the first thing. Look for McCall, Hobby Lobby, and Joann's. As well as a few other places, but I just don't know all those stores in other states. They throw sales for patterns. Patterns, if you buy them when they're not on, first of all, don't buy them when they're not on sale. Let's just do that. How about that? When they're on sale, you can get patterns for, like $1.99 usually, at Joann's and at Hobby Lobby. So they may be McCall's, they may be Simplicities. So you're going to check the signs when they have them, and you'll see that they'll say $1.99, but it will tell you the brand. Don't think that it's all of them that you can get, because it's not. Okay. The other way to pick a pattern is, if you get real innovative, if you get real creative, go over to the book in the sewing sections. You can flip through the book. Okay. When you flip through the book, patterns are designs, I should say. They're arranged by male and female, but then they break them down even more. So they're broken down into like shirts, blouses, casual wear, dressy wear, lingerie, things like that. So look for whatever it is you're looking for. Let's just say you're looking for pants, like jogging pants. You're gonna flip to that section. When you flip to that section, you see the design that you would like. And when you see the design, you're like, oh, that looks really good. Do they make it in my size? Well, when you look at the pattern piece, when you look at the page in the book, it will tell you the sizes. You're going to see like a 4-digit number, and it's usually in bold, in black. Okay. So you're going to either take a picture or write that number down. Okay. And it's usually like 4 numbers. Okay. And then what you're going to do is, you're going to head around to the drawers where they keep the patterns. Ask someone where they keep the patterns. Make sure you look for the sign, whether it says McCall, Simplicity, things like that, Mimi G's, whatever it is. And then you're going to open the drawers. They're labeled with the numbers. Open the drawers and look for the numbers, okay, that you saw in the book. Those are the numbers that are going to be on the top part of the pattern. So that's what these numbers are on the top. Okay, well, then what you're going to do, the picture that you saw in the book, that same exact picture, that's what's on the cover of the pattern pack. Okay, they didn't randomly just put a picture there. This matches what's in the book. So you'll be like, oh, that is the one that I wanted. Okay, that's it. Okay. Okay, so that's first off. Okay, that's first thing. Okay, so let's take a look at this packet. Okay. All right, looking at this packet, reading the pattern, reading the packet. This is the first thing you need to make sure you get right before you take it home. Okay, you see this where it says size US? It has the European size, it has the French size. Let me just tell you, don't get discouraged when you start seeing French sizes, guys. It could be depressing. The numbers are larger. Okay, because they're different from US sizes, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to look here for the US size, and you're going to make sure that this is your size, that these pattern pieces do fall in your range. You want to make sure if you're a size 18, okay? I'm thick. Come on, let's be real. I'm 18. So you want to make sure that if you're an 18, you want to make sure this does not say, 6, 8, 10, like this one does. Look at this one. You see, this says 6, 8, 10, 12. If you pick up one that says 6, 8, 10, 12, and if you're an 18, you're not getting your pattern piece in here. Okay, this will only fit a person that's a 6, 8, 10, or 12. Okay, that's also going to be important because children's sizes are different. Okay, but see, just like it is on this pattern, you see here how they have the European and the French sizes, that's on here as well. Okay, you're going to notice if you look right here also, you see this on the European, well, okay, I have to show you on something else because these are different sizes. I was going to show you something. But anyway, okay, so that's the first thing. So you want to look for easy to sew. You're going to look for the pattern number, and then you're going to look and make sure that it's your size. Okay? Now, what I love when you get the patterns for $1.99, I love when you get several options, all right? Because some patterns do that. Some patterns give you more than one pattern. Look at this one. This one gives you shorts, it gives you skirts, it gives you a skirt, and it gives you pants, but it gives you 3 different options for how to make those pants. I am totally happy if I get 1, 2, 3, and just 4 out of one pattern. Totally happy. But the sheer fact that they gave you some extra ones, okay, that's a bonus. Okay, so yeah, you can do regular shorts, you can do skirts, you can do a regular skirt from here, or pants. All right, so that's something I look for when I'm buying patterns. All right, so let's now flip over to the back. Oh, I do recommend keeping your pattern. Over time, when you start to sew, you will get a lot of patterns. Get yourself one of those like 3-drawer, little plastic drawer things that, Target and every place sells, and you can just put your pattern pieces inside of there. Okay? You don't want to throw the packet away because you need what's on the back of here. Okay? Some people like to put their patterns in a Ziploc baggie or something. Well, that's fine if you're only using it for yourself and if you keep your sizes and know your sizes. But if you have family members that you can share the pattern with, and if they want something different, you need to keep this. And I'll tell you why, because we're going to flip this over here. Okay? Don't get intimidated. It looks like a lot, but the best thing is guess what? You're not even concerned with this part because that's a different language. Well, unless that is your language, then you do want to look there, okay? But if you're in America and if you speak English, we're going to talk about these. I can't help you with this side, guys, with those numbers. Okay, so we're going to talk about these, okay? All right, so this again just shows the pattern piece. When you look here, you see the A, you see the B, well, you see BA, I'll talk about that, and then you see the CDE. These pieces right here are what is on the front of this. So these pieces that are labeled, this C, whether you are opening up the packet for the pattern or reading the back of it, will always be labeled as C. anything in this packet, and I'll show you, we're going to open that. It will always be referring to the picture you see on the front of the pattern. Okay? All right. So, turning it back. If you want picture A on the front, notice the difference. These are like the romper. Okay, I'll show you. Let me just show you something real quick. Then I'm going to flip this pack back, and then I'm going to flip it back over. Look at A. Look at the bottom here of the pants with cropped. They almost sort of look like sweatpants or the new joggers that people wear sometimes. Look at B. You see this right here? So this pattern will be used for the same. You'll be using A and B if you decide that you want capris. Notice B stops here. That's for capris. Okay? Okay. And then you have an option. If you want A, it's the very same pattern as this, but look at the bottom. There's no elastic in the bottom. If you want them as straight pants, okay? It's the same layout, the same pattern that we're going to open, but there's no elastic in the bottom, okay? Then there's C. C is shorts. That's self-explanatory. There's no elastic in shorts because obviously, you know, breathing leg room. Okay, then there's E, D, and E. So D and E, same thing like up here, A and B. It's going to give you a choice. If you want the skirt as a mini skirt, you're going to do E. If you want the skirt longer, you're going to choose pattern D. That's their way of saving, giving you extra pattern, but saving space. And I'll show you when we open it up. All right, but before we get to that point, let's look here. Fabrics. You ever get... do you ever wonder what patterns you should use for what particular project? Sometimes when you're starting out, I know I had this problem when I was starting out. You don't know, you think, oh, well, that would look pretty cool, you know, as a pair of pants. My daughter has this thing where she would love to have pants or a suit made out of home decor fabric. I'm not kidding, guys. Like the twill and things like that. I'm smiling at her right now. So I told her, sure, if we lived in New York or someplace where it's cold, then you can be creative. And like, you know, she just loves thick fabric. We live in Florida where it's like hot, you know, 10 or 11 months out the year. But anyway, if you ever get confused where you don't know what fabric you should use, usually summer wear, you know, people like to wear linen. Some people still, hey, I still wear jeans, but knits, things like that, cottons, things like that. This is where you figure that out, okay? You don't just go and pick up, you know, fabric and think that you can make what the pattern is. You just can't use anything you want, okay? It has to do with fitting together and seam allowances and things like that. All right, so this is where you find out what kind of fabric you want to, what kind of fabric you need. So look up at the top. This says Mrs. Pants in 2 lengths. You see these pants over here? Remember A and B? Because you can get full length pants. These are the full length with no elastic. This is the full length with elastic, like joggers, comfy wear. And then capris, right? Well, look at this. In 2 lengths. So you can decide. Okay, read the fabrics. They have lightweight fabrics such as laundered cottons, batiks, lightweight sateen. All of these listed here. You see this where it has silks, rayons, silk linen, because these are like comfy pants. This is the picture again. Let me show you. This is the picture. So you see how these are like good summer pants. You know, that can be used. It's right here. That can be used like in linens and nice comfy fabric, soft. I love the Nicole Miller apparel fabric at Joann's. Oh, so pretty for this design. So as you can see, what I like to do is when I know that my daughters like a certain thing, I'll put their initials next to it, and then I'll know like, oh, that's her favorite pair, you know, of pants or something like that, just to remind me of a style once I know a favorite, you know. Okay. Okay, so you see lightweight linen, you know, etc., etc. Okay. This is a trick, guys. Don't start sewing with plaids until you really know how to sew, okay? Because you see where it says extra fabric is needed to match plaids or stripes or one-way designs? That gets tricky. Okay. All right, so then it tells you that you need thread, and then it says look for simplicity notions and right trims. Well, you can use any notions you want. Of course, this is a simplicity pattern. They want you to purchase simplicity notions. You can use any buttons you want. You can use any elastics you want. You do not have to have a name brand. Come on, we know that. All right, so body measurements. So for this particular packet, well, I'll tell you what this means here, but then we're going to talk about this packet. If you're showing a shirt, as an example, so it walks you through sizes. You see where it has bust, then you have the waist, hips, back neck to waist. Well, in this pattern, you don't have to worry about the bust. You don't have to worry about back neck to waist, because guess what? Look, these are bottoms. These are pants. You don't have any tank tops here. You don't have any halter tops here. You don't have any turtleneck things here, okay? So for this particular purpose, we can skip this and not worry about this. But I will tell you, let's look at this. If we look at the waist, you see this right here? This is going to give you an example of the inches as you go across, but it's easier for me to show you down here, okay? So this will give you an idea of inches that it would be. So just so you know, on this side, we are using inches because that's what America uses for their metric system for clothing, okay? All right, so let's say, for instance, I want to make those pair of pants that I showed you on the other side. The one for A, the one that I put the initial by, right, for SO. Okay, so I'm going to refer to this picture right here for all the measurements, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to look here. You see how it has A pants, and then it has B cropped pants. Then we have C for shorts, D skirt, E mini skirt. Well, when you look here and you see A, this A refers to this picture here, okay? A for pants, the full length, right? B refers to, you see that cropped pants? I call them capris, but cropped pants for B, okay? And then C, shorts, that's for this pattern right here, okay? And E is for the mini, well, E is mini skirt, so it will be half, or D, whether you want the full skirt, okay? So D and E. Now, remember I said we're going to refer to this as A, okay? So let's look here. If you buy fabric on a bolt, I always take my fabric off the bolt, but, okay, let me just show you something. I'm gonna use this because I haven't taken this one off. Well, there's no bolt here, but I don't have a full bolt because I always take my fabric off and fold it. But when you look at the when you look at this here where it says 45 inch or 60 inch, sometimes, so you see pants, sometimes you may come across a really cute pattern that you see in cotton material, 100% cotton material. Cotton only comes in 45. The bolt only comes in 45 inches for cotton. It may be 43, it may be 45, okay? You'll know that because when you look at the bolt, remember this is the long way, right? And at the top of the bolt, right, usually when we're talking about cotton, on the yellow, you'll see a whole bunch of writing on the top of the bolt where it has your price. Well, when you read it, it'll say 43 inches. It'll tell you that the width, when you open it up, right, it'll show you that when you open this portion of the fabric, that portion will be 43 inches wide, okay? So even though you get it doubled, your cotton print is doubled, when you open that whole thing, okay, that's what's going to be 43, because when you get it on the boat and it's folded, it's only like 21 or something like that, 22, okay? And it's when you open it that it's doubled, okay? Apparel fabric, when we're looking at this here, so if you see this right here, so if you looked at material, cotton material that you saw that was, that you thought was pretty cool, and you're like, ooh, can I make that into a pair of shorts? Okay, that would always be 45. Apparel fabric is always between 57 and 60 inches wide. That's what these numbers are right here. This is going to be super important, okay? So make sure you look at the end of the bolt because it's going to let you know how much of that fabric you need, okay? So apparel fabric comes wider. So the bolt is wider. So it will be like 60, between 57 and 60 of this wide, and then you just need to figure out how many yards you need for them to cut for you, okay? And I'm gonna show you that now, how to figure that out, okay? All right, so now remember we're using A, okay? So when we're looking at A, I know that, you know, my daughter loves a certain fabric, okay, and I know that it is 60. The width on it is 60, okay? So I'm just going to use that as an example. So what I'm going to do is, all right. I found you imagine being in the store, you find the fabric. In this case, like I said, we're going to use 60, okay? So I'm going to look for 60. I'm going to go across the 60 row. What we want to do, you see these numbers all right here? Okay. You want to look for the 60. Then what we want, you see this right here? This tells us pattern size. This is what you need to know. Remember on the front that it showed you what sizes were in this packet? Pattern size. So you see this is 8, American 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, or 24. You see that? All of these sizes. So what I want to do is I want to look for that 60-inch bolt, okay? I know that the fabric that I like is 60 on a 60-inch bolt wide. I'm going to go across, okay? When I go across, you know, if I get this for myself, right? I'm going to go across and I'm going to look for my size. I'm going to go to the 18, right? I don't mind telling you guys my size and my daughter's. Okay, so here's the 18. Right? Come on, guys. Y'all see me. I'm thick. All right. So here's the 18. I'm going to go down. All right. So I'm following these, just kind of like math back in school. Right? And so this tells me that I'm a size 18. Right? And what I need to do is take that 60. This tells me how much fabric I need right there. So it tells me I need 2 yards and 1/8. 2 and 1/8 yards. What I suggest, okay, is getting, let's say 2 and maybe, you know, go up to the half, you know, instead of getting 1/8 of a yard, get a little bit more, not a whole yard, and you don't need a whole extra half a yard, okay? But laying out these things, you know, it can be a little tedious sometimes, and, you know, but I'll show you that later on. All right, so that's what you need to know for that. You're going to pick the project you're working on, whether it's the pants. Obviously, let's look at the skirt just because. We're going to look, here's D, okay? So there's E and D for the full skirt. If I wanted a full skirt, I would look for the skirt. So here's D, and I would look for the 60. If I was getting a fabric that was 60 inches wide, I would look across, and that means I would need 1 3/8 fabric. Okay. All right. This tells you right here when you are done sewing what the measurements would be. Okay. If you know you have broad shoulders, my daughter did weightlifting for many years. She has broad shoulders for shirts, right? Well, guess what? The average person, if you ever notice in the store, some smalls, not all smalls are equal. Not all mediums and larges. It depends on, you know, the designer. What you buy from, let's say, for instance, Old Navy might be a small might be different from, you know, or large might be different from if you bought a shirt from Banana Republic or from Target, okay? That's where if you know you can't fit certain things, look here, because what it's going to show you is those pants. If you look at A, it's going to show you, you see these for A, side length. It's going to show you the hips. It's going to show you that based upon that 18 that I normally wear, that size, it's going to show you what the finished measurements are going to be. You see that? Estimated. See that? If you follow the seam allowances inside, it's going to show you what it would be. Okay? If for some reason you're like, oh man, you measured, you know that your hips are a little wider, or you have thinner waist. Like I have a thinner waist than my hips. Okay? So you can figure it out looking here and say, oh, you know what? Maybe I should go to the next size, because one part of your body, if it's bigger or smaller, looking at these things here, you're like, you know what? Let me just go to the next size, you know, for wash wear, you know. Okay, and if that's the case, if you do need the next size, well, just go to the next size over, you know, so that you have it bigger, okay? And then you will get that amount of fabric, okay? All right, here's the other thing, guys. I'm going to tell you real quick before we open up this packet. I was about to say something. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Think super quickly. Okay, we talked about finished. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We talked about finished sizes right here on the pack, right? Another good reason why I think you should get a little bit more fabric is because if you pre-wash your fabric, especially cottons that you know are shrinkable, okay, it's gonna shrink. If you pre-wash, and I learned this the hard way when I started sewing, because no one ever told me that, oh, the material is gonna shrink. One, before you wear it, you know, the fabric has been on the shelf. It may be dusty, or people might have dropped it, you know, so you could wash it if you want to, you know, but if you're not going to pre-wash your fabric before you buy it, I would go to the next size on here, you know, that's just me, so that when you do wash it, it's actually the right size. Okay, the other thing to think about is when you make fabric from home that you don't pre-wash to shrink, I would consider either washing in Woolite, or you know, put your machine on easy delicate load, or what you can also do is wash and hang dry, you know, your things. Okay, okay, so let's go inside the pack.